Hey everyone, Kevin from Rise Forums here. What I'd like to do in this video is talk about something that I think is quite relevant in today's world, in the world of automation. And there's a lot of things in the news recently about how a lot of people, a lot of jobs are going to be redundant over the next few years, over the next 10 years, over the next 20 years, and how governments and how countries are going to have to adapt to, really move with this. But one of the things they've really been talking about a lot is like universal income and things like that. And there's a lot of jobs, traditional jobs, that are going to be lost over the next few years. And especially, in certain types of industries, the automotive industry, food preparation, all these different things. There's going to be a lot of people losing jobs. Now, I was watching a video, it was someone else must have shared it on Facebook, and it was from Gary Vaynerchuk or Vaynerchuk. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Now, he's a businessman. I'm sure you guys know him. And I wasn't sure how to take him at first, and it was nothing personal to him. It was more about the fact that there's a lot of, self-professed gurus, self-professed, help gurus. And, it just seemed like just someone else who was doing it, someone else who was dishing out advice, and someone else who just seemed to spend all of his time telling others what to do rather than do himself. But he is a legitimate businessman. But I'm kind of swaying towards him now. I've watched a few of his videos now, and he's touched a nerve in quite a few subjects, and I'm starting to really like him. I'm starting to really like the basically the image that the message that he's trying to project to the world. And I think what I really like about him is that he doesn't sugarcoat anything. A lot of self-help people, it's always like believe in yourself, blah 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 blah. But he doesn't really sugarcoat all that. He just tells it like it is. And I couldn't find the clip on Facebook. I really wanted to share with you guys, but the part that I'm referring to was he was doing a talk with some radio show or something, and somebody had sent in a letter or someone had asked a question, and they were saying how, I'm 55 years old and my job isn't going to be there in a few years. And his message was, call it tough love, but he was like, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And he was just hitting home the fact that, well, you should be out there trying to hustle. You should be out there trying to, get ahead. You've got 3 or 4 years before you lose your job. Why aren't you at university? Why aren't you thinking about starting a business? Why aren't you doing this? What he then went on to say was the fact that a lot of people complain about this kind of thing, but they'll say, what I'm going to do if I lose my job? What if I'm going to do this? And then they say they don't have time to study, they don't have time to start a business, etc. Yet they've got time to drink 2-3 nights a week, watch the sports 2-3 nights a night, catch up with friends 4-5 days a week, all that kind of thing. And I think he's right. I think he's right what he's saying. I mean, I think those of you who work online, whether you're making $100 a month or whether you're making $100,000 a month, if you're working online, then you're working for yourself essentially. Well, unless you're hired by a company. I mean, if you're self-employed, if you're an entrepreneur and you're managing your own time, then you're out there trying to make a living. You're trying to make money, and you're doing it off your own back. You're not just checking in somewhere, clocking in, clocking out, and expecting a wage at the end of the month. The harder you work, the more money you earn. But a lot of people don't have that. And in fact, the majority of people don't have that. The number of people that I've met throughout my life, and they just expect everything to be handed to them. And not only that, the thing is, what he is really trying to convey is the fact that you need a plan B and you need a plan C and you need blah, blah, blah. People have this thinking throughout their whole life that they deserve to have a job. They deserve to have a job, and whenever there's job losses, this is when nationalism and things like that increase. And not to get too political, but a lot of people will start blaming immigrants and things like that. But I've always been on the thinking that if you can get a job when someone who's came to the country with zero qualifications and they're taking your jobs, then maybe you aren't working hard enough. Maybe that's a little bit tough as well, but I really truly believe that a lot of people they're a little bit entitled. They bring nothing to the table for an employer, and yet they want to be paid a lot and they want to, progress. People maybe have got a little bit too happy in their comfort zone. what he said about that guy who was 55 years old, he said, adjust or lose. That's what he said. Adjust or lose. If you don't adjust to the situation, if you don't realise that the situation is changing, your situation is changing, then you're going to lose. And that's the reality of the world. That's the reality that the world has always been in. But you see this where a lot of people have stayed with the same company for 10 years, for 20 years or 30 years. And if for any reason they lose their job because of the market, because of, maybe their job, they become redundant, maybe because of age, any reason, they've never got a plan B. And that's when they start worrying. That's when they start panicking, go, okay, what am I going to do? The fact is, if you are always planning ahead for that kind of thing, you don't have to worry. Right now, I'm not making as much as I was like 2 or 3 years ago, but I'm going to be making much more in the next 2 or 3 years. I appreciate, my current situation. I'm not to stray too off topic, but my current situation is I'm trying to focus more on learning at the moment. And I didn't want to go back to university for 3 or 4 years. I didn't feel that I'd have the time. I'm still learning about video and things like that. But if I did return to, the grind, to a 9-to-5 job, I've got a huge amount of skills that I've learned over the last few years that I think I can bring to the table. And I think it would put me ahead of many other people. I think more people need to get that mentality. They need to start thinking about what they can do, think about what they can do that other people aren't doing. They need to start thinking of business ideas, and they need to start thinking like an entrepreneur. They need to start hustling, as he put it. I do think that, it does sound harsh, but I think this adjust or lose, as harsh as it sounds, I think it's true. A lot of people are just panicking because they don't know what to do, but even if you're in a safe job, you should be thinking about the future. You should be thinking about, I need to put money to the side. I could maybe, do this business venture. And I realise that for a lot of people, it's very difficult to do that. If you've got kids, if you've got a family, a wife, a husband, whatever, if you've got very little time in the week, starting a second business or anything like that is the last thing on your mind. But you do need to start appreciating the situation that you're in, and that if you lost your job, what are you going to do? There's a lot of people in good jobs who don't have good qualifications, or they don't have good experience. They've just landed on their feet. And if they lost their jobs, they're in a bad situation. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that, about this whole issue. We're going to see a lot of jobs being lost over the next few years because of automation. And countries are going to have to evolve and work out how to deal with this. But if you're in a situation where you feel that you're going to lose your job over the next 5 years, maybe you work in, for example, maybe you work for BMW or Mercedes, and you think, okay, I'm an experienced mechanic, but my job is going to be dead in a few years, and it's not going to be there. It's not even going to be necessary. If you know what's going to happen, then you've only got yourself to blame if you don't start doing something now. You really do need to start thinking about how you can address this issue in the future, so that you've basically got a head start. What position are you going to be in 3 years' time? Are you going to just plod along and then just go, oh no, what am I going to do? Or are you going to start, okay, planning ahead? I could start a business. I could use my skills to do this. I could, there's so many things you can do online. Start a website, start courses, start videos, there's so many things you can do. Or you could just start planning for a different career altogether. Please do check out the Gary. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Gary Vaynerchuk. I know you guys know him, but I'm not someone who really sits and watches a lot of self-help gurus. I think a lot of the time they're just kind of preaching to the proverbial, and they're not really. It's more like do as I say, not as I do. But he's someone who does walk the walk, and I like his no nonsense attitude. So please do check him out if you haven't already. And please do leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think about this issue. And leave a comment below, subscribe, share, all that. Till next time, guys. Thanks for watching.